think I would do. And this is a video that I never thought I would do. And I mean, never thought I would do. Look out for Charlie. Yeah. Here's a channel I follow.
Intentionally setting you all up to fail. They can't hide because the Wayback Machine has them in its sights. No matter who you are, if you are spreading ridiculous information, it is there forever. These people out there, mainly doctors and PhDs, have been popping up over the years. And I'm talking over the years, man, and affiliating themselves with the exact same organizations and oddly making the exact same claims as everybody else within that organization. Yet these allegedly highly educated people have come up with 0 bits or even 1 shred of proof.
The title here is Weaponized RF in 2025. Why are authoritative voices selling you nonsense? V2k, voice of God.
Other than goofy graphics.
Now, V2k is a weapon against TIs. Against targeted individuals who are being gang stalked, and just absolutely really just insane. There was an episode of NCIS, for example. A psych patient was at home, in her bed, sleeping. Then a voice echoed in her apartment, and turned out to be a microphone, a little device in her vent in her home. Driving her into a psychiatric center for veterans, people from the military and whatnot. Even military veterans are going through this too. There's some. I'm just going to say some. That deals with this kind of shit. Deals with direct energy weapons. Deals with, V2k, which is called the voice of God, and different ways of them getting attacked, getting gang stalked. Pretty much, they're being metaphorically trafficked, in a way. The DEWs, V2K, street theater, all that bullshit, It's not good. It's insane. It is insane because weaponizing RF. What's RF? Let's see here. Let's go with comments. No comments at all. So let's go to here. Go to here.
Patents and some outright ridiculous ideas, and that concerns me. It concerns me big time. It needs to be talked about. At first, back in the day, I thought, well, these people are new to this, so they'll come around when they get it. But that isn't the case. To my dismay, they have become the equivalent of missing 411/Bigfoot researchers in the weaponized RF department. And it really needs to be called out. I have been talking about this for well over a decade. Just talking about it. The whole thing, we're talking, over 15 years. So let's use some common sense and simple understanding of the past to prove
logic,
that every
common
single
sense
thing these people are saying is not true. And worse yet, if you are promising victory through lawsuits on a subject and not using factual evidence, you are never going to get anywhere. It's like the Alex Jones case that was intentionally set up to fail. Even if the government intentionally throws the case or just gives these organizations a few million to shut them up, you are never going to get to the bottom of anything. And that's a fact. And believe me, I know they pay attention to this channel and they keep tabs on what is going on here. So they are going to see this. And hopefully they will start opening their mouths and dig themselves a hole. And I will debate every single one of these people who are out there making these ridiculous claims to frightened and bewildered people who are seeking help for something that they don't understand and don't understand why it's happening to them in the first place. They give these people ridiculous answers that even the most inexperienced person could prove wrong with a few simple tests. And it's mind-blowing, and it's 2025. And I'm telling you, I will debate any one of these people live, online, or on the radio, and prove that every single thing that they are telling people isn't true. Do you think any of these PhDs and quote-unquote whistleblowers are going to come forward and do this? Absolutely not. But the invitation is there. Anytime, one-on-one, I will debate any of these jivesters in a one-on-one situation because this has gone on way too long, man. So let's start with the past and prove a couple things wrong and prove exactly what I'm talking about. Now, let's start with the thousands of people that I've talked to over the years. Admittedly, I don't do that enough anymore, but I just don't have the time. But back in the day, I documented case after case of people hearing things in their immediate vicinity, and my first question to them always was, how did this start? A majority of people had a form of tinnitus at the beginning. Now, slow your roll on the tinnitus, because tinnitus doesn't have to be a high-pitched frequency in somebody's ear. The sound of tinnitus can be high-pitched, a whooshing sound, a garbled lower sound, a rumble, or even a low-frequency hum. And one of the main descriptions that I heard back in the day was the sound of a large engine idling somewhere in their area, 24/7, a hum, if you will. That eventually began turning into voices saying things to them, which got worse over time. Some people described a high-pitched noise. Some people described what sounded like a sprinkler system off in the distance, like a hissing. But the engine...
Some people get ringing in the ear. They get that ringing, high-pitched sound in their ears and shit, you know.
An idling sound was very common to hear from people. Now, with that said, let's go back to the late 80s and early 90s. This is when the hum began to appear. And this is an episode from 1995, and I had to edit this down to still frames and let the audio go so that they don't get me for, some copyright crap. So let's let this play and listen to what they say here.
People have been hearing a similar low-frequency sound, most often described as a truck laboring up a hill.
That is exactly what people have described to me over the years. Exactly. So it'll begin, and you'll be in your home, and it sounds like a car is idling somewhere, but no matter where you look, you can't find it, and it's 24/7, and then it begins to turn and morph into something else. And these people out there, they know it, but they won't address it. Why is that? What is going on? It is directly related to the hum. People began to hear these voices at the exact same time as the hum really started to take off. Now, there were always cases of this popping up since the late 1960s.
Yeah.
Here and there. But it really began to take effect in the early to mid 1990s. That is when it really happened. Now, this is a guy from Michigan who's going to explain what happened to him.
So I was able to ignore it maybe for the first month or two, but after a while, when I got closer to the deadline of this entrance exam, I started noticing this thing is really affecting how I'm studying. It's really affecting my thought process and how I'm taking in information. And it got to where I couldn't tolerate it anymore, and I had to know what it was.
Here's what happens, and this is what I need to explain to you. You have these PhDs. You have these educated people out there who are scoffing. They are scoffing at the information I put out. And they are telling these bewildered people who are being affected by this that they are being attacked with quote-unquote microwaves. Now, if they were microwaves, you would simply be able to get away from them by stepping into a Faraday cage, stepping down into a well-insulated basement, or going into a cave. And in this case, they took this hum here, which is directly related down into a cave to see what he experienced. Now, let's see what happens to this hum here.
Yeah.
See, my question is, I know that it aims for the skull. It aims for the skull. Now I wear caps like these here, and I often wonder if someone can take aluminum foil and put it around the inseams of the hat here, in the seams of the hat, you know, in these here, in this. Put it underneath, where you could like put aluminum foil around here, around the outside of the cap here, you know, and where you can see, see here. Put it in there, around the hat. Will that work? You know, because a lot of TIs are getting hit with DWs. You know, they're feeling that that heat. You know, but also the voice of skull, you know, thing. And I'm kind of wondering, can one take aluminum foil, roll it up to a point where you could actually fit enough in inches and shit, you know, stuff, and put it in the inside the hat, you know, inside the hat, you know, and that's one of the things I got, you know, question I have, and I even wear these here. I even wear these here, and I want to ask the same question about these because I want to make sure that if I ever get in that position where I want to put aluminum foil in my hats, in the brim of the hat, it's right here, behind this here, you know, here, and because it's really driving people nuts, because voice to skull, V2k, voice of God.
I hear it. What do you got? I hear it louder. It's more penetrating. It's actually conducting through my bones more forcefully than it does on the surface. Disappointing. It's very disappointing. I thought I could get away from it down under all this rock. It's worse.
Okay, it's worse. That is the same thing with voice hearers. You can go down into a cave, you can go down into anything, you can get in a Faraday cage, and you can't get away from it.
No.
That directly proves that it is not microwaves. And these organizations will not bend, will not change their mind when it's easy to prove that it isn't. The signal system cannot be avoided. If someone were merely being attacked with quote-unquote microwaves from quote-unquote satellites or quote-unquote cell towers, they could walk into a Faraday cage, a basement, like I said, or a cave, or anywhere that naturally blocks RF from traveling into, but they can't. None of these people can. It doesn't happen. Exactly like the case of this guy in Michigan in the hum. And that is a simple, indisputable fact, and they know this. So how are these PhDs and quote-unquote doctors still selling you the idea that it's all quote-unquote microwaves? Still telling people this when it's a known fact that this cannot be possible, and it's 2025. So let's keep going on this and listen to what they have to say here.
This is a tape I developed as a simulation of the phenomenon as I experience it.
So this is what this person hears.
But just so that you can hear kind of what it sounds like, that's what I'm going to do.
Now, that is exactly what has been described to me by people as this starts to morph into voices, whether it be high-pitched, low-pitched. Many of them have been low-pitched over the years, just like this.
Yeah.
Now, the volume level that I hear it at is much more like this. You bring it down to the minimum, and then you turn it up until you can just perceive.
So it's barely audible.
Which is right there. And that's how it's in my environment all the time.
That's very close. Very, very close.
Now someone else is hearing it there from another state. I believe it's New Mexico, and they're comparing it to what they hear, and they're like, "Yeah, that sounds very similar."
That's very close. It's quite a lot more pleasant than the jagged, grinding glass sensation that or sound that would come through.
This is exactly how Voice of God weapons operate with people. They can't get away from it. So how is it microwaves? Explain that. And they scoff at the idea of ELF. These quote-unquote experts that are out there without a shred of evidence, without a shred of proof, they're scoffing at it. They're telling you out there as authoritative voices that these are microwaves, yet a simple test can prove that they are not microwaves. It is ridiculous. It's 2025. Let's keep moving through this just for the hell of it.
For Winona, 5 years of constant humming has completely disrupted her life. She is currently on disability leave from her job with the National Park Service. Like many sufferers, Winona takes comfort in the knowledge that she is not alone. The hearers have come to believe that the hum may be caused by a radio system known as ELF.
No, they thought of that back in 1995. But you have this whole organization of people who are trying to deny it now in 2025, decades and decades later. What's going on?
Extremely low frequency. Low-frequency signals are capable of penetrating through hundreds of feet of water.
Exactly.
Vessels on the ocean floor.
Exactly, and that's exactly why these people can't get away from it. If it were microwaves, millimeter waves are worse. You could stop millimeter waves with a fucking tree, man. That's why they want to cut trees down everywhere. You know, some water in a tree can stop millimeter waves. But microwaves can be stopped pretty easily. So how are these people denying ELF and pumping up these crazy microwave ideas when it is known that it is not microwaves?
ELF stands for extreme low frequency.
Perhaps not coincidentally, the system has been in use since the late 1980s, around the time that people in the U.S. first began to hear the hum.
Exactly. They're putting it together on a mainstream television show, and you have these people trying to trap you back in these older ideas. It's very weird, man, and it's very suspect.
I'm fairly convinced that it is military, not only because of my own research into it and my own reading and my own theories, but because of feedback I've gotten from scientists, from people in the armed forces or who have armed forces connections, and other people who I can't name, but who have come forward to me and who have pretty much verified my theories.
I'm hearing the hum now, and we have days where it oscillates on different sides, and today it seems to be oscillating more on the right side of my body.
So if it's oscillating on the right side of his body, it is interacting with his body somehow, right and left brain. He can feel it on the right and on the left. It is doing the same thing. The hum is directly related to Voice of God weapons, V2k, all of that. And these people are in complete and total denial, and they are claiming to be the authoritative sources of information out there about this, when it can simply be proven wrong with simple testing.
I don't believe how you can't hear it.
It is interesting to note that there is an ELF transmitting station just 80 miles from Hal Runiana's house in Michigan.
It doesn't matter, 80 miles, it can be 1,000 miles. ELF can be bounced around. It doesn't have to be hard.
It could be 1,000 miles and you still feel it.
You're bouncing signals around. You know, you can bounce signals off the atmosphere with any type of technology, but HARP-like technology can use higher frequencies and then bounce down an ELF, if you want to call it a harmonic, back down. It will rain back down onto Earth. It will basically umbrella everything. It's very, very simple. And yet these people are out there denying it. Now, I hadn't looked into these groups or these organizations in a long time.
Yeah, this is
and just
insane.
recently, I started, poking around, and what they are telling people is very, very concerning. It's concerning to me. Let's go back to HARP and hear what they have to say about what HARP and HARP-like technology does. You can use Earth tomography, that type of thing, and hide it within infrastructure of technology. It's that simple.
In 1983, I did radio tomography with 30 watts, looking for oil in the ground. I found 26 oil wells over a 9-state area, and 100% of the time was accurate with just 30 watts of power beaming straight into solid rock.
30 watts, that's nothing. But it's enough to vibrate shit under the right circumstances. He's explaining it.
HARP uses a billion watts. Beam straight into the ionosphere for experiments. Picture these strings on the piano as layers of the earth. Each one has its own frequency. What we used to do is beam radio waves into the ground. And
ELF radio waves.
it would vibrate any strings that were present in the ground.
Yeah.
We might get a sound back like,
So it is creating physical vibration.
and we'd say, that's natural gas. We might get a sound back like, and we say that's crude oil.
This is exactly like what happened in Oregon. Way back in like 76, there was the Eugene signal that was making people sick. People were feeling vibrations. People were hearing voices. They were hearing all kinds of shit. Feeling all kinds of shit, getting sick. This is exactly what it had to do with.
We were able to identify each frequency. We accomplished this with just 30 watts of radio power. If you do this with a billion watts, the vibrations are so violent that the entire piano would shake. In fact, the whole house would shake. In fact, the vibrations could be so severe underground that could even cause an earthquake.
So they are physical vibrations. They will not admit this. These organizations, they will not bend. And these authoritative voices, they will not.
Hear that? He says the vibration could be so powerful, the piano would shake, the house would shake. Then, if no vibrations is could be enough so powerful that it could cause an earthquake. Vibrations powerful enough can create an earthquake. Like, holy shit! You know, I mean, vibrations can be powerful enough for human body. It could really, how you say, scramble the egg and scramble the yolk in the egg means basically hitting your brain with the V2k or the DEWs and shit, man. You know, that kind of thing. It is insane because the whole idea of having this kind of technology hitting the whole entire body from head to toe is absolutely shattering. You know, V2k, voice of skull, voice of God. You know, can really fuck with your mind, fuck with your thought. You know, it could distort you. It could cause nausea. You know, nausea. You know, it's like the vibrations from voice V2k can be so powerful. It's like it could be like it'll make your mind feel like it was spinning 1,000 rotations within like 5 minutes. Enough to really just make you nausea, man. You know, that shit, you know. Just the comprehension of what is V2k? It's voice to skull, voice of God. It's a weapon, a weapon tool to use on the human mind on anybody, whether you're a TI or not. I mean, the whole vibration enough would shake a piano, a house, or even cause an earthquake, you know. And it is terrifying because of the magnitude of the vibration, man, you know. And, shit.
Changed their mind, and they have literally gone out of their way to attack me and my work because I scoff at the idea of microwave frequencies being used. This signal system cannot be avoided. If someone were merely being attacked with microwaves coming from, satellites or cell towers, they could just hide. And they could get away from it, but no one can get away from it. So why are they telling people this? Why are they doing that? It's very, very interesting, and it's very, very concerning. And here's more old information on HARP and HARP-like technology. It doesn't have to be HARP. You're just bouncing. All HARP means, all they do is bounce signals off the atmosphere back down. Even shortwave guys bounce radio signals off the moon. So let's let them keep going.
The nature of radar and these electromagnetic supplies is they can usually be pulsed. So one very good question for people to ask is, what is the peak power of that antenna when it pulses at its full capability?
Pulses at its full capability.
The issue of ELF, extremely low frequencies affecting mental states of individuals, is not new. It goes back to Yale University and the work of Jose Delgado, which is well recognized in the literature. And eventually he found that energy at 1/50th of what the Earth naturally produces could, in fact, in certain frequency ranges, trigger huge mood swings.
My entire life has been devoted to the study of the effect of electromagnetic energies on the human mind. When I was 13 years old, I invented a device that transmits sound to the human brain using electromagnetic waves. So this is my field. I've been studying this.
There it is. And they're denying it. And he's saying, I invented something that sends voices with ELF, electromagnetic waves, to the brain. And these groups of people out there that are taking your money are claiming that it can't do that. They are literally claiming that it can't do that.
Field for over 40 years. And HARP scares me because I...
So let's talk about this, because it's very important. The only way this can be possible is by bouncing frequencies, just like any shortwave or ham guy does, and creating ELF and or transducing electrical ELF into audible sound. And you can do that with harmonics and lots of different ways. It seems that from what they have said and what I have read and what has been said to me, that these authoritative voices out there don't understand this at all. It's similar to the corona effect, how you can hear electricity buzzing. That's an audible sound from electricity. But they flat out deny this. They even claim that ELF cannot be used. What are they talking about, dude? Even though their ideas fly in the face of every experience that any hearer has ever had, this is dangerous. And why is it dangerous? Let me explain it to you. And to prove my point, this is taken directly from one of their websites. It's saying it is coming from a cell tower at 450...
A cell tower with 450, 700 megahertz. This is U.S. patent 877-0027. Subliminal messages equal government mind control.
to 700 megahertz, which if we're
it's U.S. patent 4-877-027.
True, you would be able to get into a Faraday cage and escape it, but you cannot. Here's what's happening. When they set this up, this is why it's dangerous. Some doctor or PhD or authoritative voice makes the claim that this is all microwaves, and they set it up. So here is what the opposition does. They take a victim, and they put that victim inside of a Faraday cage, and they ask one simple question. Are you experiencing anything? And when the person says yes, the opposition immediately does a victory lap around the room and yells, see, it can't be microwaves because there are no microwaves in this area. It has to be mental illness. And due to the authoritative microwave claims made by the doctor or the PhD with absolutely no evidence or shred of proof whatsoever, you have now allowed the system to set you up, knock you down, and then laugh at you for being so ridiculous. That is what they're doing. They are setting you up in 2025 still.
Cell towers put out about 450 to 700 megahertz.
To be laughed at. Like I said earlier, they have all these goofy graphics and everything, but why do these highly educated people have zero evidence of their own? Why are they making claims that can easily be proven wrong by the most inexperienced person? They're telling you to do crazy shit as quote-unquote tests that they know will absolutely never, ever stand up in court. Ever. And these are quote-unquote RF tests to prove that you're being attacked with RF. I swear to God.
That's megaphone detects electromagnetic fields in your body.
Here they're telling you to use a megaphone up against your skin to prove that there's RF in your body. Well, why not buy an RF meter and learn how to properly use it? You know, when I look at these websites, and I'm telling you, I feel like I'm looking at a page made to intentionally look ridiculous. Like the old Onion stuff from back in the day. It's literally absurd. And if it's microwaves, again, you can eat...
A megaphone cannot find or detect electromagnetic stuff in your body. A megaphone is just a megaphone you speak into. It's nothing, you know. Get a RF meter, you know.
Easily escape them. Easily. This would never, ever hold up in court. Watch, Judge. I'm going to take this bullhorn and push it up against my skin, and when it makes this noise, that's going to prove that there's RF there. Use an RF meter, dude, if that's the case. They know this. They know all of this. They know that people can't get away from it. So if they can't get away from it, just like the hum, then how can it possibly be microwave? Unless that microwave is being transduced into ELF somehow, right? And the only people out there that have outright claimed that Havana syndrome is quote-unquote microwave weapons is the government. The government and everyone associated with these organizations.
Yeah.
When in reality, we really have zero evidence of what Havana syndrome really consists of, what it is. If it's sonic, then that means it's being transduced. If you can't escape it, it is ELF.
It's transduced throughout the whole entire body from head to toe. You know. Yeah, it's insane. It is insane, you know. All right, guys, this is good old Reverend Ordo, and I just want to say, you guys new to this channel, please leave a like, subscribe, comment below, hit the bell for notification, and always live healthy, happy, and wise. Healthy and wise. Healthy and wise. I love you guys. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out. Godspeed. Buddha bless.